integrating a very large and complex healthcare tech today. And we're going to be comparing that to a new theory of framework for integrating project delivery that is depicted here. We'll do our best to explain what this means as we go through the presentation.
The project is a 1.5 roughly $1 billion project. We consider that an DPR mega project, about 960,000 square foot, 289 beds with a varied healthcare program. It's important to note that it's not just a hospital. This is a complex. It's a complex of a community, if you will, of a very diverse program.
So this is a project that is already built, and if you go into the hospital website and you look for the opinion of the users, there are plenty of videos in which they explain how they are using this facility. I will not go through that, but the conclusion is that they will find that all of them say that this is a usable facility. Also, there were very high sustainability goals during the design, and all those goals were achieved, which makes this also a sustainable facility. Another characteristic is that, of course, the facility is built, so no doubt that it was buildable. And it has a facility management system which lead you to really realize that it's an operable facility. All these four concepts are what define what is called a high-performance facility. So this is clearly a high-performance facility. And high-performance facilities are composed of different systems. We have their structural systems, interior, ceilings, facades, MEP systems, and all these systems are not fragmented, but are working in an integrated fashion. So a high-performance facility is composed mainly of integrated systems. These are the integrated systems. And there is a foundation for this that Peter will explain, but also I would like to highlight that high-performance facilities do not grow up spontaneously in nature, but they are the result of a deliberate project delivery process.
On many of our projects, we have to educate and advocate to our owners to try to get them to adopt these types of practices. On this project, we were really fortunate. Our owner, our single point of contact owner, Stuart Ekblad, was very sophisticated. UCSD's, their approach for projects up to this point was more of a design, bid, build type of approach, non-integrated. And this being the largest project in the school's history, they were very, very nervous about adopting new practices. But Stuart was able to overcome that. So really from a leadership standpoint, it started with the owner, which is great. It's an ideal condition. And then once Stantec, the architect, was brought on board, and DPR Construction, it was really up to us to sort of foster the right culture of trust, transparency, sharing knowledge, and then really developing the right processes, not pushing processes onto the project, really inventing the right processes for this project. And then, once we establish the process framework, it's not enough just to let it run by itself. It's really up to the leadership team to sustain that, because things tend to want to end up being more disorderly over time. So we had to kind of keep things in order.
So the simple framework, which we had as a cartoon up there, starts with the end in mind, the high-performance building. which is composed of integrated systems. And if you're going to accomplish that, if you're going to create integrated systems, you need to integrate processes. And this is actually an example from that project of what that looked like for them. Quite a bit of design had been done, so we were left with a large value engineering effort to reduce the budget by $200 million. And this was one of the processes that was used to do that. But it was very important that we stay connected and inform the stakeholders throughout the hospital organization, the healthcare organization. So we did have to, the team created this process, followed this process, and this is an example right there, the metrics on the right of what was accomplished. So to integrate processes, you need to integrate your organization. And in this case, we are showing an example, a diagram of the information flow and decision making. Again, this was invented and created by the project leadership team, as Peter explained. There's a lot to all of these diagrams. We can't take the time to address them right this minute, but we'll talk about them hopefully in Q&A. And of course, if you have an integrated organization, you must integrate information for that to really be achieved. This is an example of what was done in the project, again, invented in the project. And this was the information flow from design through collaborated BIM coordination process all the way through to documentation. So that is the simple framework of integrating project delivery. What you see right here is one of the enablers, which is an agreement or contract. And those are the terms that, if you go back just a second, Leonardo, clean screen, those are the ideal terms that you would want to support true integration. And we didn't have all of those, the team didn't have all of those in place, but made a significant effort to change the contract and make it as good as it could be. They didn't leave that alone by any means, and it did make a difference.
Simulation, BIM.
So now another key enabler which impacts both the organization and especially integrating information is simulation and visualization. This is just illustrations of how we use that on the project. A huge effort was made in that regard.
Peter.
Yeah, so we developed a big room, and we broke the team up into cluster groups. The cluster groups used the ICE method that Roar from Skanska has presented on a couple times during the conference. It was a very effective way of driving the design process. Eventually we evolved to have daily OAC meetings. There's a 2-hour window every morning where anybody from the project, even if it was a foreman or a craftsperson, could come in to address a critical issue of that day. And the idea was within that 2 hours, they would walk out with an answer.
I'll skip this.
No.
Oh.
This project started with a typical large project contract requirement for CPM schedule. This is the first time that I know of on a mega project where we were able to incorporate Last Planner as part of the scheduling requirement. Measurable value is a critical enabler of integration. This is an example of what was done on the project, shown literally posted on the wall for everyone to see and use to measure their performance. So this in total is the framework for the simple framework for integrating project delivery. see it there, and we can talk more about it in the Q&A.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to say something soft on process designs?
Yeah, you wanted
The time is up. Do you want to say something quick conclusion?
Well, these are the outcomes. I think we could leave the outcomes up. It's pretty clear
Read 'em.
that,
Yeah.
it was a very successful effort.
Okay, thank you.